Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fumey, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Before I start today's show, I have exciting news for founders, CEOs, and franchise brand presidents. Join me January 14th through the 16th, 2025 in Tampa for the first ever Emerging Franchise Brands live event, an exclusive opportunity designed just for you. It's my blueprint for success at every stage of franchising, one I wish I'd had, packed with real-world solutions and strategies to solve your challenges today and prepare for those you'll face tomorrow. Space is limited, so head over to emergingfranchisebrands.com to secure your spot today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the co-founder of DRYMedic Restoration, Ben Gergis. Ben, how are you today?
I'm well. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me on with you today.
Well, Ben, it is great having you on as well. And I'm interested in hearing all about DRYMedic Restoration. So tell us what you guys are all about and when did you start this?
All right. Well, DRYMedic Restoration was founded in 2014. We are a water damage mitigation company. We primarily focus on water damage property issues. Things like water, fire, smoke, and mold-related damage. We have a contents department as well as a full reconstruction team to help navigate through a loss during a time of need.
And there's always business out there.
Yes, there is. As long as there's infrastructure that supplies water and takes it away, or somebody's cooking inside of a house, there's always some type of trouble somewhere. So we're there when you need us, that's for sure.
So Ben, I understand you're a co-founder, you and Carlos. When you guys started this, first of all, what led you to starting this company?
Well, that's a great question. Honestly, what really happened here was we identified that there was a real need for a service-oriented business in our market that could help clients get a grip back on their home or building or even their business during a disaster. And I've been in construction my entire adult career, or adult life, so to speak. Right out of high school, became a licensed builder. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Worked with my hands quite a bit. Anything on the interior of a building, I thought I was a jack of all trades in that respect. I learned the trades early on. Did the work with my hands. My partner, Carlos Hisano, also very hands-on. The story goes, we met back at Home Depot when we were like 14, 15, 16 years old, running around trying to build our basements up to take over that space in our homes. So mom and dad would leave us to have an area. We were just longtime friends. And, my brother put us together and said, hey, you guys need to get something cooking. And over time, we thought of this concept, and Carlos gave me a call one day out of the blue and said, hey, I got this idea. And I was on my way to get into that business already and really thinking about doing that. And just destiny put it together, and it was God's plan to merge us to make this thing happen. And sure enough, we went after it. And we were really driven and focused on being customer centric, making sure the client is taken care of first, and everything else will come after that. It was really fun.
Where'd you guys start this?
We started in Detroit, Michigan area. So just outside of Detroit, in Oakland County. We started the business in what is called Bloomfield Township, right side, and Southfield, Michigan was kind of a bigger suburb area of that. We built it around customers and people helping people. And just, that's what we were trying to do. And we set out on that endeavor with really, not knowing what we don't know, right? Mm-hmm. We weren't a franchise first organization, and we went after it on our own to see what we can do.
Were you guys working for a construction company, or were you guys self-employed before you started this?
So we were all self-employed. Carlos was working on his career. He was a serial entrepreneur as well. Was doing all types of different businesses. He's owned a power washing company all the way to car dealership activities, and now he's into properties and all that. Okay. And I was doing construction. I had my own construction company, worked through doing a different ownership inside of the cellular world. Carlos was a franchise developer for a large cellular company in the Florida market, and went around and did a lot of work with franchises, had a ton of franchise experience. And I was on the operations side. So I had a lot of hands-on experience, real world experience. And I owned a construction company and did a ton of interior restoration work. Unbeknownst to me, I was doing mold work before I even knew what mold work was. So it just learned hands-on and kept doing it every day.
And so you guys started the company in 2014, right?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. And so you start in 2014, you're rolling along. You've got a couple of company-owned locations at that point when you start up?
So when we started the business, we originally went out and started servicing our market, right? Mm-hmm. Oakland, Wayne, Macomb counties. We took on a tri-county market. We started out as 3 offices. We were DRYMedic Restoration of Novi, DRYMedic Restoration of Troy, and then DRYMedic Restoration of Bloomfield. Over time, we consolidated those restoration groups into one large restoration organization. And then we decided that we were going to go out and really go after the market in the Michigan base. And that led us to really hone our services offerings and then also hone our systems. During that endeavor, we started out in a small, 2,500 square foot facility. And we started to branch out, and we jumped into like around 7,500 square feet. And it was, at first you're like, wow, that space is massive.
Right,
how are you going to fill this up? And we started to expand our service offerings. We went from water mitigation with a huge focus on water damage first. Mm-hmm. Then we took it into fire and smoke. And back up for a quick second, it was really water damage first, followed by mold. And then that led into fire and smoke. So we really went after it with precision, trying to hone the system, hone the process, understand what we're doing, develop our systems, document those systems, and test them and rework them until they were really good and scalable. And then we went and did that same thing with other service offerings. So we went from what we call mitigation services into what contents is called, or personal property. So we went into the personal property side of the business because we saw there was a huge void there. There was a lot of clients that needed pack out of their personal items, things that would be taken from their home, mm-hmm. cleaned, stored, and brought back to them so they could use them again, or even documented for what is called total loss. Once we got really good at that, we applied the same principles. We documented our system, we tested it, we damaged and broke it, right? And repaired mm-hmm. it, fixed it, and then learned how to get it better and better to the point now where we've really learned how to properly pack out, store, clean, and bring back those property to people's homes. And then we went into reconstruction. Okay. And you would think, 2 entrepreneurs that have a ton of construction experience. Again, Carlos had opened hundreds of units of franchise businesses across the state of Florida and other areas. And you would think we'd want to immediately get into franchising, mm-hmm. or we'd immediately want to go out and do construction because that's what our backgrounds really were.
Sure.
But we were super hyper focused on building the systems and process to succeed. And we didn't want to make a move until they were ready. And we baby stepped it every step of the way until we got there.
You were really building a franchise before you built the franchise opportunity.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot to be said about that because you have to test it and you have to break it. And then when you break it, you got to figure out what went wrong. And you want to do it in a way that doesn't damage your reputation mm-hmm. and it continues to drive more opportunities. So there was a fine balance there. And doing that really worked out for us because we had the opportunity to work with good people. Mm-hmm. And we had great partners with us and we had great people backing us up. And it definitely wasn't just built because of Carlos and I. It was a complete team environment to do it. And we got really blessed to have a great team behind us to help us do it.
It definitely takes a village to build something special.
Yep, definitely. Definitely.
So you guys are rolling along. You've got you at that point, I guess, 4 company-owned locations. And
Yep.
then,
So we merged it into one
okay.
and we started our track and we decided that we wanted to, sell the business. We were at that point. We said, you know what, we've done a really good job at this thing. It's really doing well for us. Now let's go to market and see what we can do. And during that time, we did a lot of soul searching and we had some great opportunities come into the door through that acquisition process. And lo and behold, a company by the name of Authority Brands found us. And they approached us and made an offer. And the offer was a little bit better than we thought it was going to be because it gave us an opportunity not only to take what we built and sell it to a company that can take it to the next level, but they also wanted to keep the leadership in place to help build it and go further with it. And they believed in the leadership and saw the systems and saw the tools. And they really gave us an opportunity to spread our wings and go and bring this thing to market with them. And it was almost like, wow, this could really work. This wasn't a box we were looking to check,
Right.
But you know what? This is exciting. This is really going to be fun. Let's go for it. And they had a great support system. They had all kinds of opportunities set up for us. And they brought a lot to the table as far as support and know-how. And they took all of our service, all of our offerings, we bundled it all together, and we created this dynamic system that is now the DRYMedic Restoration system. And we were able to showcase it and broadcast it. And in a less than 18 months, here we're sitting today with over 49 locations and over 80 some territories, rapidly growing and wildly exciting and a lot of fun to be around.
Interesting. Well, Ben, as serial entrepreneurs, this really wasn't part of your initial plan. Like, as you said, you were going to, sell it just as you guys had done in previous, opportunities. What was your feeling though about going into franchising? This was uncharted waters for you. What did you think about franchising?
Well, for me, it was uncharted. For Carlos, he's got a lot of experience in that, and he comes from that world. So for him, it was a really easy idea and opportunity that really like, whoa, this could really help. I was on the other end of the spectrum. I always thought like franchising would be, it's not for me. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. Right. So for me, I was like, oh, come on. I'm not interested. But then when I saw how we can get people on third base, and when you have an organization that truly believes in helping people and really allows you to keep that entrepreneurial spirit and really allows you to maintain good quality structure for everybody, it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of value for that. And really in the beginning, had I thought about the value that a franchise could be, I don't know if we'd be here today as DRYMedic. We could have been another restoration company, a part of a system. But at that time, it wasn't for me. Knowing what I know about franchising today, I think it definitely has a ton more to benefit than the ladder of going at it yourself.
Sure. So how has your and Carlos's role changed since being part of Authority Brands now?
So it's a little bit different. Before, our day-to-day operational role was we would run our business, right? We'd go to work every morning and we'd be hyper-focused on our people in our 4 walls. Today, we're hyper-focused on the big picture. What is all of our franchise brothers and sisters doing? What can we do to help our franchisees accelerate their growth? How can we get their phone to ring more? How can we provide that expert service and do all of that by maintaining our core values? So now day-to-day looks a lot different. Instead of worrying about our clients who are calling in with losses and executing on those jobs, we're worrying about our franchisees being able to execute on those jobs with that high level of service and how to bring more opportunities and how to scale their business so that they can turn their vision of being a multi-million-dollar unit to reality.
You realize that you are really now in the franchise business and no longer in the restoration and remediation business.
That is true.
That's a huge leap, right?
It was very natural, to be honest with you. It didn't feel any different because what I'm learning is if somebody wants it and they get it and they have the capacity, it's a lot of fun and it's easy. So when I was doing the retail, or what we call our location. When I was running that location and doing that, I was dealing with a lot more employee type of issues. Today, I'm dealing with entrepreneurs who want to grow their business. And that's a lot of fun. And that could be there's a lot of challenges there too, because you've got to understand that these are entrepreneurs and they have the spirit to go after it and get it done. So they don't always have to listen to me, and they definitely don't have to always do what I'm saying. But when they follow the system and they make it their own, they're wildly successful. And that's a lot of fun to be around.
Sure. Now I understand we have about, we have about 45 franchise owned locations, right? In 20 some odd states. And then you have your 4 company locations. How did you guys, or how did Authority Brands find those first franchisees?
So we used a lot of brokers, and we did a lot of internal advertising through our broker network. We actually had our first spin up of the franchise revamp and website with the DRYMedic name and logo only less than about a year ago. So back in June, we really started to push on our own internal marketing, but a lot of broker relationships led to our first set of franchisees coming on board. And we really welcome that because a lot of those brokers work really hard to procure those entrepreneurs that are looking for a good opportunity. So we've had some good partnerships, and Authority Brands brings a lot of value there. They've actually done a fantastic job of marketing who we are, what we do, and how we're different. So we're really blessed to be a part of that.
Wow. Well, there's something actually that's also different about your brand I'd love for you to talk about is that Authority Brands had purchased initially, was it Stop Restoration first, and then acquired you guys. So you had to, I'd like to hear about sort of the cultural shift or change, and how did you guys integrate that? And what were some of the challenges of bringing on you a part of another brand, and you guys had to combine, not only you're part of Authority Brands, but you were joining forces with a previous restoration business.
Correct. And there was a lot of challenges there. First and foremost, the Stop Group has done a phenomenal job of growing their brand and doing what they did. They were founded, I believe, in 1996. And their team was really started out as a consultant group. And that consultant group turned into a franchise network. And that franchise network started to progressively grow. And again, they're more based on grassroots marketing efforts, going client centric. So they had some of the parts of what we do, but they didn't have the technology, and they didn't have the integration of all of the service of technology that we have at our fingertips today.
Okay.
So we built a lot of those tools on platforms that you can go out and get yourself, right? But you still got to program these platforms. You still got to put it all together. So we took the business of doing water damage, and we created a system behind it that would allow anybody to come in, train, and execute it on a high level, and it was controlled. It allowed a lot of people to do the same thing across the country. An example of that would be our vans. All of our vans are stocked the same way. They all have a slot and an area for the drill or the dehumidifier or the air scrubber. They all look the same. They all have the same feel, approach. Our equipment is all branded. We utilize Phoenix equipment for things on a daily basis that we utilize in the field. All of our meters are identical. So we created essentially the DRYMedic system in a box, right? So we're able to deliver a van, equipment, tools, training that's all uniformed. So if you're at our DRYMedic location in Plano, Texas, it's going to look the same as our DRYMedic organization in Franklin, Tennessee. And our Franklin, Tennessee office is going to look the same as our Tampa Bay office. So all of these things were really super, super, super hyper focused on creating the replicatable system. And that's what really drove Authority Brands to us. They saw that we had all these systems and we had all these things in place, from our checklist, from the way we do a job, from our compliance task system that keeps jobs in order, especially dealing with insurance claims. How we were able to keep that communication at a high level and being able to harvest multiple lead sources from one job. They loved it, and we proved it, and then we executed on it. And now we have franchisees across the country who are exploding with growth on that level.
Well, it's a good thing that you have all the systems and processes so well put in place, because it sounds like in your kind of business, there are quite a bit of moving parts for a franchise owner, right? So why don't you share with me, what are some of the top challenges that a franchisee would face that we have to get them through in training and support?
So really understanding that not all jobs are the same.
Right.
You can have a job from a water damage, and we'll take what I would call the most smelly, stickiest, dirtiest, which is a sewer backup, right? Or a sewage blockage. Those types of events happen all across the country. And what you have to do is you really have to be focused in on being able to execute those on a high level, right? So they're different though. Even though it's a blockage and water's overflowing from the drains, there might be carpet, there might be hardwood, there might be tile, there might be drywall, there might be paneling. Which one goes? Which one stays? How long will it take to dry? How to identify those ways to dry it? How do I understand? Do I need negative air pressure? Do I not need negative air pressure? Is there asbestos? Is there lead? So there's so many different moving parts. But what's so beautiful about the DRYMedic system is that we've created a compliance task list that keeps you on track. The system asking your technicians questions, and the system is guiding you through it. And as you become more and more seasoned, you fly through these opportunities a lot easier, and you don't miss opportunities within a job. You don't miss steps that could create liabilities for you. We try to cover up all the types of scenarios in those tasks so that it keeps you on point, on focus, ready to engage, and turn one job into multiple opportunities time and time again. And the most difficult part in that is that we got to do that in a short amount of time in our in-house training center. So we utilize not only our 2-week development course here locally, where the franchisees come to our office, they engage inside of our classroom. It's a 2-week course. 1 week of it is really classroom driven, how to run the business, how to market the business, how to get into the business and go. And then we have a whole week of hands-on. We have a laboratory in-house where you set up all the equipment, you put it all together, you understand what they are, you get to touch it, you get to feel it. And then guess what? We put you out on real world jobs. And those real world jobs are going to get you a chance to smell that sewage, right? It's going to get you a chance to smell what it's like to be out there, get a sense of feel what it's like to be in a mold environment, wearing a full face respirator and a full suit.
Right.
Even if the owners might be semi-absentee or absentee, we want them to understand what the technician's life is like. What does it take to do this job? So that then they can go back and use that integrity core value, that compassion core value, so they know what the technicians are going through on a day-to-day basis, and they can relate to them. Even though it was a short amount of time, they still get that experience.
Yeah. What are your expectations of a franchise owner? Do you prefer them to be owner operator or manager led? What does that look like for you guys for the most part?
In my opinion, this is where I think about, I really enjoy the hands-on owner and the semi-absentee owner. And when I mean semi-absentee, I call that, the individual who might be in the back end helping with marketing or accounting or legal, and overall just kind of general manager, high level type of management, where maybe they bring in a partner, or they might bring in somebody to run and operate the day-to-day. Those guys do really well. What I've noticed is anytime they come in a pair, it's really great, right? They're able to divide and conquer. There's a ton of moving parts in restoration. There's a lot to do.
Right.
What I really look for is that semi-absentee type of person that has the ability to bring in the right people or hire in and have the ability to hire in and create culture. Those ones to me really get me excited. And then, the hands-on individual who is all about doing the work and can't wait to get the jobs going and willing to hire a team and ready to engage in the culture and bring what we teach to life in their offices. Those also get me really excited. And most of our network seems to be mostly semi-absentee or hands-on. So you got a good mix there, and really got a really phenomenal group of franchisees that are actively engaged. they're following the system, they're bringing ideas, and they're talking among. My favorite thing is they talk to each other, right? So you got a good thing when everyone wants to say, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on with you?"
That's special.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. We're really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I would imagine your most successful franchise owners, Ben, are the ones that are working on the business, right? Those are the traits of the most successful franchise owners, not the one that, don't get me wrong, you can be the technician. If you love being the technician, that's fine, but you're going to really be capped out on how much work you're going to get done unless you go ahead and hire someone. And that's got to be the challenge. So it's like you don't want to tell somebody they can't be the technician, but they better find somebody else then who's going to do the marketing and working on the business and overseeing it.
And you brought up a great point. This is what my franchise business consultants are great at. Okay. So we help figure out, what are you really good at? And what are the holes that you have today that we want to build on? Okay. And we feel like if the person wants it, gets it, and has the capacity to do it, we're going to get them in that seat and help them identify it. And then we're going to try to help them to hire in the right people. So the difference with DRYMedic, what I think makes us stand out across the restoration space, is you actually have people that worked in the business and on the business.
Right.
Everybody here at DRYMedic, from the top to the bottom, all have restoration experience. Our franchise business consultant, Aaron Fogarasi, 35 years in restoration experience. He has photos of the first dehumidifiers, air scrubbers, you name it. He tells you horror stories and war stories, right? Ryan Bussman, another phenomenal franchise business consultant who has been in the restoration industry, and he's been on the other side of it, selling insurance and running insurance offices across the country. So he gets policy. He understands how to support when we have complicated issues going on with different markets with different policies. Chelsea, she came in. She was my coordinator at our location for 6 years. And she understands the ins and the outs and the struggles. So we've got this dynamic, very unique team that understands the business and knows what it takes to scale it. So that really helps. Totally. Because I was the guy that wanted to do the work. I was that guy that was, nobody's going to do it better than me. I'm going to do that. No one can cut drywall faster. Right. But you know what? You can only cut so much drywall in a day. You got to be able to scale.
Right.
So we're really good about it. And we can support people that want to do the work or don't want to touch it at all. They want to hire the right people to do it. And we have systems and procedures to identify and hire the right type of people to help you along.
Yeah, I can't overstate enough on how critical it is to have franchise business consultants that are actually understand the business and they've done it themselves, because when you're supporting franchise owners, they think about, who is this person that's giving me this advice? Did they just read the book? Did they go through training themselves, or did they actually do it? And it is a completely other level altogether, because gaining the respect of franchise owners is a challenge. I remember one of my first franchise business consultants I had in my company, that he was saying to me, gosh, I just can't wait to earn the respect of these guys. And it wasn't that he had not been in our case, in the sports business, he had been, but he had never really ran a sports league business before. So it took a while for him to gain and gather up the, just the street cred, so to speak, with the franchise owners. But you get somebody who's been doing it for 35 years, you're a new franchise owner. You are going to listen to everything that guy says to you. And
you know what the best part is? Our team doesn't just talk, right? We're action oriented. So a prime example of a new franchisee that enters into our system, and they go out to their very first job. And most of the time that job's at 7, 6, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And that could be Pacific time. And we're in the Eastern time zone. Right. So they're frantic. They might be nervous. They don't know, like, hey, this is my first. Can you imagine the first time riding a bike? You remember that, right? You remember your first date. You remember that. You remember the smell of your first job. Okay. So here's our franchise business consultants that are ready to help you. They're standing by waiting for you to reach out, and they want to coach you through that because we've been there. And early on, we alluded like, hey, I wasn't in the franchise space. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have somebody to lean on except our own internal team. And having that in your back pocket and having that support network there for you, it's so important, and it helps you grow so much faster. And that's where I think the value really is. Guys like Aaron, they're there for you.
Right.
I'm here for you.
Their job is to really give you the confidence that you've got this and you could do it. I could imagine, if you didn't have your systems and processes together and having the right support, could you imagine being brand new, not knowing anything, and walking into a house that just had the house still has a smoldering fire going on, or, is just devastated by a storm, and it could be super intimidating unless you have, that support that you can call somebody and say, this is my first job. I'm kind of freaking out. Right. That they can walk you through it.
And what's really nice too is we have really unique tools, right? So we're able to, with the franchisee permission, when they give us access, we can go into their system with them and we can guide them through it, right? So another example is franchisees, a lot of them really don't call during that first moment of loss. They'll call us maybe day 2, day 3 into the loss and say, hey, Aaron, can you jump in real quick? I'm getting ready to put my bill together. Can you look it over? Can you take a look at my photos? What did I miss? Is there anything I could have done differently or should go back and do? And we give value points to that all the time. And going back to stop restoration, because again, remember, we were purchased after the fact, right? Mm-hmm. And stop restoration has a great team. So we wanted to really show them what we know and how we can help them. So we created this auditing system. So we would go in and review what they've got going on jobs and help to make sure that they're pricing it properly, that their bills are in order, that there was items that they need to either A, continue to do, or B, maybe there was something that they did that didn't need to be done. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to show them that we understood the business, and we gained a lot of their respect in doing so. So much that one of our very first interactions with one of our stop guys was a company out of California. And this individual did not have fire damage in his repertoire. And he really was just new to the business. He just bought his operation. He was rolling. And we gave him some encouragement to get into the fire and really get into that part of the business and explain our process and our step-by-step approach and the way we clean a fire, the way we treat the client during the fire. It's not about money. It's about people, right? It's about success. It's about helping them regain the confidence to go move back into that house. And we got him up to that position. He became franchisee of the year. Wow. He doubled his business like that, just by going out and executing on those level of service that we were able to help him understand. And he had to go do the work. Sure, we got him to third base, got him going, but he had to execute, and he was willing to do it. So it was amazing to see that.
That's interesting. Ben, what's maybe some of the common background careers of some of your most of your franchises? Is there an avatar there?
I wish there was just one. I think the most common thing that I see in our franchisees is they really want to help people and they want to be successful doing it. And they're looking for a business that they can make an impact on. So I really think that it's an entrepreneurial spirit really that is driving who's coming here. We've got property adjusters that have converted from adjusting into ownership. We have corporate America guys coming in here that work for huge corporations that have made the leap of faith into entrepreneurship and wanted to lead a team and really execute it on a high level in his marketing background to bring DRYMedic to his market. We had service-oriented people that did cleaning companies in the past or construction companies. They're doing phenomenal. I've even had people with limited experience in understanding anything outside of finance. And they were able to take our systems and hire the right people to execute on the job while they're managing the money, running the finance, and building the company up on the business, not in the business.
Sure.
So there really hasn't been any commonality except an entrepreneurial want.
That's awesome. Great business, by the way. It's going to work in any economy, of course, and it's going to work in any market.
Well, I like to tell you, in this business, the need for this is as important as a need for like a plumber or an electrician or even a heating and cooling specialist. And that's what I think the power of authority brands really brought to Carlos and I. And what we really were excited about is they understood the trade business and they understood how important it is to be able to go into somebody's house and execute on a high level and be regarded as an expert in that area.
Yeah.
And knowing that in an economy that is uncertain, and an economy that we don't know what's really happening, it's kind of strange. It's not really impacted that much because it's a need, right? When you have water damage, you need to clean that up. When you have a fire, you need to clean that up. And as a matter of fact, you have a contract with your insurance company that says you're going to do whatever it takes to get that house back to normal, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think it's very secure, but it's hard work. And it definitely takes the want to be there in somebody's worst time of need.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely solving a problem, number one. And number two, I love challenging businesses because it keeps competition out. If a business was too easy, then everybody would do it. But it takes a skill set. And in your case, you've developed the systems and process and support that can take somebody who just has that entrepreneurial spirit that sees what they can do to help people and put them into business.
Yeah. And you know what I find I find this very interesting. We came into one of the most saturated markets in the entire country. You do your homework, right? Mm-hmm. Go look at Michigan and you'll see who our competitors are on a national scale. Mm-hmm. In our backyard, you have three of the largest competitors in the country, and their home base is here. So we were able to take our systems, our process, and execute it on a high level and take market share from that. So with that formula and our execution of doing that, it's impacting across the country. And what the best part of all of this is it's fun doing it because you're helping somebody along. You're creating value for them, and then you're building relationships with these clients for years. Mm-hmm. And it's really a really exciting thing to be a part of.
Great business, man. Ben, what's the investment range and how big is the territory?
To enter into a DRYMedic Restoration, it's around 225,000 to about 300 grand, depending on the size of business that you're going to purchase in relation to your equipment packages and market that in territory market.
So Ben, what I'm sure you and Carlos have talked about sort of the long-term vision for the company. What do you think? Where you guys plan on taking this thing?
So we really want to be across all of the United States to start. We're really trying to come into an area. What's really nice about us is we have a ton of white space available. The long-term vision here and the long-term play is really to get us over 150 units. We want to be able to get into at least 300 territories so that we're covering a ton of area, a ton of space, a lot of dots on the map. And then we want to become a service provider, not only to the insurance companies, but most importantly, our clients and end users. We want them to talk about us to be the best that we are able to help them in their time of need. And we want to be front of mind all the time.
Nice. Well, Ben, if someone was interested in learning more about DRYMedic, where would they go?
Go off into our website, DRYMedicFranchising.com. You can catch us there. You can go to Authority Brands website as well. There you can find some more information on us there. You can contact Richard Zimmer. He's available all the time. He can help you get on board. He'll teach you what's going on. He'll talk you through the whole process, and I can get you all his information.
Sweet. All right, Ben, I got one last question for you. I finish every podcast with what I call the franchise tip jar, because the franchise community is so generous with sharing information. And you've been around the block now franchising for long enough with your locations. So if you were talking to an entrepreneur that was thinking of franchising, what would be maybe a piece of advice you'd give them before they jump on in?
So if you're looking at any franchise, the biggest thing you want to do is find out as much as you can about the systems and the tools. You also want to ask about the marketing strategies. So understanding first and foremost marketing, because how are they going to get the phone to ring with you? What does your marketing spend look like? What are you going to be doing to gain market share? Who's in your market, and how much area is there for you to capture? And then look at those systems. Look at the tools do they have. Are they selling you a system that you can replicate, right? Is it something that you're comfortable doing? Is it something that you're willing to learn and willing to follow? If you look at those and you say, "Oh, I could do that better," or "Oh, that doesn't make sense," ask questions. Be direct. Every franchisor wants an engaged franchisee. They want you to ask questions. Don't be shy. Ask the hard questions. When you come to our Meet Your Team Day, I look forward to those hard questions. I love to show the systems and tools. I think that's what makes us stand out. So, that's a big deal in the space. And if they're just telling you, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and they're not willing to show you, time to look at something else.
And Ben, what do you think? What about if you were talking to an entrepreneur that was thinking of franchising their company? What would be a piece of advice that you'd give them before they go ahead and franchise their business?
Yeah, be ready to work with serial entrepreneurs that want to make things happen. So you better be ready to go out there and help them through that, and be willing to adjust and be willing to listen. You have to do it with being humble, right? So if you're going to go out there and think that your franchisees are going to just follow everything that you say and they're going to do it your way, you got a rude awakening coming, because they're entrepreneurs, and it's okay. You're going to give them the ingredients, but I don't care who you give the cake ingredients to. It always turns out a little different, depends on who's cooking it. So you gotta be willing to accept that and willing to help them get better and better.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. This was terrific. I wish you all the best, continued success with DRYMedic.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. I really appreciate your guys' time. It's been really wonderful to be here. We look forward to seeing you guys around. And if there's anybody that has any questions or wants to talk about DRYMedic, I can't wait to meet you.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.